Good morning, students. I, JV Dr. L.K. Sharma, Professor Jayoti Vidyapeeth, Women's University, Jaipur. Today, our topic is Union Council of Ministers. As the Constitution of India provides for a parliamentary system of government modeled on the British pattern, the Council of Ministers, headed by the Prime Minister, is the real executive authority in our political administrative system. Article 74 of the Constitution states that there shall be a Council of Ministers to aid and advise the President of India. The types of ministers in the Indian Constitution does not categorize the ministers into ranks. However, in practice seen in India, ministers are of four types. First one, cabinet minister. He is present and he participates in every meeting of the cabinet. The minister of state with independent charge. He is a minister of state who doesn't work under a cabinet minister. When any matter concerning his department is on the agenda of the cabinet, he is invited to attend the meeting. Minister of States. He is a minister who doesn't have independent charge of any department and works under a cabinet. The work to such minister is allotted by his cabinet ministers. Deputy ministers. He is a minister who works under a cabinet minister or a minister of state with independent charge. His work is allotted by the minister under whom he is working. The function of the Council of Ministers. Policy making functions. The cabinet is a policy formulating body. All kind of policies, national, international, internal, external, are trashed out in the cabinet, which then present them to the parliament for approval. Once the policy has been determined by the cabinet, it is for the ministry or department concerned to carry it out. A cabinet is in charge of a specific ministry or department, and it is his duty to administer the subject included in his portfolios. In addition, he also shares a collective responsibility with other members of the cabinet for the overall policy for anything of high importance that is done in every branch of public business besides his own. Law-making functions of Council of Ministers. The Parliament is repository of legislative authority and can enact, repeal and amend the legislation, but in practice it is the cabinet which takes initiative in legislative matters and directs the parliament. It is the cabinet which prepares the legislative measures, introduces them and pilots them through the two houses of parliament. The financial functions of Union Council of Ministers. The annual budget is prepared by the cabinet, which determines the taxes are to be imposed and how the public revenue are to be spent. Administrative functions. All the major appointments reserved for action by the President under the Constitution, for example, Attorney General, member of UPSC, Chief Election Commissioners, judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts, Governor of the states, etc. are made by him on the recommendation of the Prime Minister and in consultation with the Minister of the Department concerned. The Secretary is responsible for carrying out the policies laid down by the Cabinet and approved by the Parliament. He can instruct the departmental functionaries and supervise their working. A minister is expected to face question in the parliament. He may or may not abide by the advice of his civil servants, but he should see it that the civil servant's freedom to advise is not curtailed. Coordination functions. The conduct of foreign relations, receptions and dispatch of diplomatic agents and recognition or non-recognition of new state after done the approval of the cabinet. Treaties are also negotiated and signed after the approval of the cabinet is obtained and the parliament is duly informed about this. The cabinet also controls the foreign tours of the president and other ministers. The inaugural speech of the president is also prepared by the cabinet. The president summons, prorogues and dissolves the house on the advice of the cabinet headed by the prime minister. All the ordinances issued by the president are also prepared by the cabinet. It is subsidiary power of the legislation which takes the form of administrative orders. All important money bills are framed in the cabinet and are initiated and seen through in legislature by it. The cabinet is responsible for the entire expenditure of the state and for raising the revenues to meet it. Similarly, the emergency provisions authorize the president to issue a proclamation whereby the authority is really exercised by the cabinet during the period specified. The real center of authority and power has been shifting from the full cabinet, which itself is a committee of the Council of Ministers, to a still smaller bodies. The Planning Commission works in close collaboration with the cabinet. The Prime Minister is the chairman of this commission, which controls the entire economic planning for the country. Now, Planning Commission has been converted into the Niti Aayog. He also heads the National Development Council, which acts as a coordinating forum for the center and the state. The cabinet not only execute the policy but also provide a leadership to the legislature during legislation. The transaction of business rules does not require the matter which are not strictly within their purview be brought before the cabinet. In matters of vital importance, the Prime Minister has consulted a small group of his colleagues, generally in the Political Affairs Committee of the Cabinet, as it presides bodies, and sometimes only individual members privately before. In administration, conflicts and differences are usually occurrences. More than one department might be engaged in similar activities, leading to duplication and overlapping. It is among the Prime Minister's major function to see that numerous activities undertaken by various departments lead to the realization of desired objective. Interministry policy and working are subjected to cabinet discipline, and the onerous task of coordinating the work of the different ministries and to enforce discipline is the job of the Prime Minister. Dear students, this is all about the Council of Ministers. Thank you.